What is going on, everybody? It is Handles, and you know, I've told a bunch of stories that happen in the NBA. A lot of them are pretty crazy, but nothing gets weirder than this. It involves Notorious BIG robbing a Knicks player. So the story begins when Biggie's Life After Death album came out in 1997. Specifically, one song caught a lot of people's attention, and that was I Got a Story to Tell. So I'm not gonna say the lyrics cause you know, YouTube, but you can read them on the screen for yourself. You guys can pause the video if you want to read the lyrics, but to sum it all up, I Got a Story to Tell is a song where Biggie describes an incident where he was sleeping with the wife or girlfriend of a Knicks player while the player was playing against the Utah Jazz. The unnamed player comes home and Biggie is still in bed with the girl. He threatens to shoot the guy if the girl doesn't take care of the situation, so she tells her man to get something to drink for her to give Biggie more time to figure things out. He comes up with a plan to pretend to be robbing the place, so he gets dressed quick, covers his face and ties up the girl, before threatening the player who arrives in the room to see Biggie with a gun. The player panics and offers to pay Biggie any money he wants if he doesn't shoot. Biggie takes the money and bails, and then calls his friends to tell them that he's got a story to tell. Now the event is said to happen in 1995, and at first I'm sure most people thought this was pretty unbelievable. Even I didn't believe it at first, cause it's just too crazy of a story, and to especially mention it public. But nonetheless, everyone wanted to know who Biggie was talking about. There were a lot of people it could have been. I mean, there were 17 people on that New York Knicks 95-96 roster. But Biggie did say that it happened on the night the Knicks were playing the Jazz, and he said the Knicks player came home that day, so the game would have had to have taken place in New York. Luckily for us, only 9 players entered the rotation on that night, but of course it's still hard to say who it was. But according to a clue Biggie gave us, he said it was one of the 6'5" guys. And it is probably hard for someone to say the exact height of someone when they see them in person, so our culprit is anywhere from 6'3" to 6'7". And that leaves us with a few players: Derek Harper, Anthony Mason, John Starks, Gary Grant, and Hubert Davis. For years and years, a lot of people were assuming it was either John Starks or Hubert Davis because they were both listed at 6'5". Even though John Starks wasn't really 6'5", he was just listed at it. But Starks did come out in 2014 to speak on the song and did confirm that the events Biggie described did in fact happen, so that put rest to all the claims saying it wasn't true. Starks also did say it wasn't about him since he's not even 6'5", but it was about one of his former teammates. He wouldn't mention who though, to keep their privacy. And after this, a lot of people just assumed it was Hubert Davis since he was the only player on the New York Knicks listed at 6'5" on the 1995 team. And the fact that during the aforementioned game in November of 95, Hubert Davis only played for 9 minutes, scoring 4 points on 1 bucket and 2 free throws. Davis was a 3-point specialist that averaged 10 points per game that season, and this subpar performance makes him the most likely Knicks player to leave the locker room early after the game and head home to be consoled by his wife. Boy was he wrong. But finally, in 2016, Fat Joe in an interview on ESPN revealed who it was, and it was Scary Anthony Mason. Pretty sure that caught a lot of people off guard since just look at him. He has those scary eyes, makes him look like a guy you don't want to mess with. Kinda like Bobby Portis, but rest in peace to him. Anthony Mason passed away in 2015 at the young age of 48. Kinda leaves a sour taste in your mouth knowing that's what happened to him back in 1995. But that's the video for today. Really weird knowing that Notorious BIG had robbed an NBA player at gunpoint after he was coming home from a game, just to get out of the situation he was in. But anyways guys, as always, till next time, I'm Handles, and I'm out.